What I find so crazy is that the Season 3 update buffed some of the most hated heroes in Marvel Rivals. And that's not just hated in terms of community sentiment, it's also backed up by data as well. And it's crazy that they buffed more than one of these heroes in the Season 3 update. So what we're going to do in this video is tell you the 5 heroes that everyone hates. And also we're going to give you some tips on how to deal with them as well. Because let's be honest, not always are 5 of these heroes going to get banned in every game. Loki's up first and he didn't get any buffs. Actually, he got the opposite. He got a couple of nerfs with the last couple of updates. And for good reason. If he's in the correct hands, Loki is one of the best heroes for supports in the entire game, right? He's actually a game changer if you've got someone that is a really good Loki player. And that is why people hate him the most, because it's hard to figure out what is a clone, what is not a clone. And he's got a lot of get out of jail free cards, and obviously that's what makes Loki so good in this game, and that's why people obviously hate him as well at the same time. Obviously he can go invisible, he can switch to other clones, he's not super easy to kill, and for that reason you need to kind of counter pick your heroes based around the Loki player if he is good. If it's a bad Loki player, then you're going to get pretty easy kills regardless because he doesn't understand the Loki kit. So realistically you want to be picking heroes like Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier could reset his ultimate off of the Loki clones, which I think is crazy anyway. So that's a good pick. You can also pick Squirrel Girl. That allows you to deal a lot of splash damage. And if the Loki player is playing next to his clones, then that's going to take out the Loki player and his clones at the exact same time. So that's the counter pick. But to actually counter Loki, you don't really need to pick these heroes. You just need to keep an eye on where is he putting his clones, right? Because that's a big deal. That's the whole part of Loki's kit. If the clones are kind of set up behind you and he's trying to deal damage, then you know he's trying to deal damage and get some healing in a good position, and you can easily switch to that and gain some high ground. So just keep an eye on where he's placing his clones, and that will help you a lot. And like I said, discerning the difference between a clone and not a clone, and that's just basically around the movement of the character. If it's moving, then it's the actual player, and obviously you want to focus on the actual player than killing a clone, of course, because the clones are useless without Loki. So make sure you focus him, make sure you use his counters, and that will definitely help you take out the dreaded Lokis. Boy, did Wolverine get a massive buff in the Season 3 update, and anyone who likes Wolverine is going to love Season 3 because this guy is actually insane now. The team up is ridiculously good for his survivability. It's also really good for outputting way more damage than Wolverine could have done before. And just overall, it's a really, really good team up, especially since the Phoenix is the new hero and she's going to be quite popular in a lot of selections of team comps. So that's what makes Wolverine incredibly good. Now, he was always good against tanks, right? So Wolverine has always been that guy that if you like playing tank, you just don't want the enemy team picking a Wolverine. And I just think you're going to see a lot more of him if he doesn't get banned in the higher ranks anyway. But I think also what makes him feel a lot better for Season 3 is that they fixed a lot of his hit reg issues as well. So that just makes him feel even better when it comes to Season 3 in general. More people are going to hate him than ever before, if I'm being honest. So how do we counter this guy as well? Now, a good counter, if you still want to play tank, the Thing in Emma Frost when she's in diamond form is pretty good. The Thing cannot be displaced, but he still takes all that damage from Wolverine, and especially now that he outputs a bit more, might not be the best pick, to be honest. However, I do think Magneto's a great pick against Wolverine, as always. It's very lore accurate as well, so that's pretty cool too, especially with the self bubble. And also, Penny Parker is a great pick. Now, if you can set your mines down correctly and he just so happens to jump into them, then that is a great choice. There's lots of DPS counters to Wolverine, like Scarlet Witch and Namor, but the main ones you want to be thinking about are the tanks, because that is where Wolverine wants to grab you from, right? He wants to grab a tank, take them to his team's backline, or throw them off the map, or something like that. And that is how he gets his kills. And once his cooldowns are gone, is actually one thing you do want to keep an eye on is his Feral Leap cooldown. Once he's used it, that is the best time to fight a Wolverine, because you're going to be able to kill him super, super easy. unless he's really good at escaping certain situations, because he is pretty close range and he does have a lot of counters. So Wolverine is one of the more annoying heroes, but I think he's one of the easier ones to counter as well. Squirrel Girl is up next, and when it comes to Squirrel Girl, she's probably one of the easiest heroes in the entire game to use and actually get decent value from. I think in Season 3 she's going to be really good, but that's not only down to her new team up, which is absolutely insane and is also brain dead as well, by the way. It's super easy to use, the auto aim acorn, it's crazy good. But also down to the fact that the meta is kind of shifting towards having tons of splash damage, which I actually think Squirrel Girl is really good for. And it's kind of the same reason why Iron Man feels so good right now as well. So Squirrel Girl is crazy, right? Now, how do you counter Squirrel Girl? Now, in some instances, you cannot counter Squirrel Girl, because if she's standing behind a piece of cover, bouncing acorns off a wall, you don't even have a line of sight on her in the first place. So that is a tough one, right? So a good counter to Squirrel Girls, if you do have line of sight, is use any hero that's got a standard ranged attack. Hela, Adam Warlock. She can barely 1v1 because bouncing the acorns requires it to at least be bounced once. So if you're just shooting directly at her, you're going to kill her super easy. Also, flying heroes are pretty good against Squirrel Girl because it's really hard to hit flying heroes with Squirrel Girl in the first place. So that's another really good counter. So any Iron Man, any Storm or Human Torch, and now Ultron as well, will all counter Squirrel Girl too. And like I said, the best counter in general is just to not stand too close to your team, because then the damage that's dealt from the acorns is not clustered and dealing loads of damage to everyone on your team. It's just damaging one player, which is much better. So like I said, you've got tank counters as well, which kind of stop her attacks, like Emma Frost, Magneto, and Doctor Strange with the shields. But like I said, the easiest thing to counter Squirrel Girl is just to not stand too close to your team, and that will allow you to do so much better and stay alive so much longer against Squirrel Girl. Then we have the main man himself, and that is Spider-Man. And is Spider-Man the #1 most annoying hero in this entire game? No, but he does sometimes feel like it, right? He's actually crazy good if you're coming up against a skilled Spider-Man player, and he's just super annoying, throwing you off the map. All the kind of movement tech he's got, he's hard to track as well, which I think what people hate about him the most is that other heroes are easy to track when it comes to shooting them and killing them as well. And that is what makes Spider-Man super annoying. Also, he's got his new crazy team up now, which allows him to do way more damage, and he also got tons of damage buffs with Season 3 as well, just in general. And overall, his combo can almost feel like it's one-shotting you at times, which I feel like is another really annoying thing about Spider-Man, is that if you get one-shot comboed and then he just flies away, your team can't even counter that either. So Spider-Man is almost uncounterable at some times. So then you want to make sure you're picking his counters, and the counters for Spider-Man are pretty simple. So you've got Namor, who could basically auto-aim it with the squids. That's a really good counter, plus he got a slight buff with the Season 3 update. We've also got Scarlet Witch and Cloak and Dagger, who also completely auto-aim as well. You've also got the Thing. Now, the Thing is a really good counter to Spider-Man, and for a couple of different reasons. First of all, you can't be CC'd, so you can't get thrown off the map. And then also, he's really good at stopping Spider-Man's movement. So if you do the slam down on the ground, and now that you can jump towards Spider-Man as well, I think that's crazy good, right? So overall, the Thing is a really good counter to Spider-Man if you know how to use them right. So there's a lot of counters there, but you just need to know when to use them. And also, like I said, you want to kind of stay away from the edge of the maps, man. That's the one thing you want to do. Don't stay near any edges or ledges, because that is what Spider-Man is ultimately looking to do, is to chuck you off the edge of the map. So stay away from that. Last but not least, we've got Jeff the Shark, and Jeff the Shark is such a strange one to me because I've never found him that annoying personally, but he's the #1 most annoying hero in the entire game. And like I said, this video is backed up by data and also community sentiment as well. And this is crazy because I think the main reason people hate this hero is because of his ultimate, which is really hard to counter, by the way. So that's probably the main reason people hate Jeff so much. And also on top of that, his new kit from what it was before, which was a flanking DPS Jeff, is now actually better in my opinion. I actually think he's a much better hero overall now than what he was before. And he can still kind of flank if you really want to. But the main way to use him now is a strategist, but his primary attack is just super easy to use, right? It can take out any objects on the map, it could take out flyers, it could take out divers. It's got such a big radius of attack as well that you can hit multiple enemies with, and it also heals as well. Like, Jeff is just such a good hero right now, and that is probably why everyone hates playing against him too. And not to mention, by the way, that Storm team up with his ultimate makes him even more crazier than he already was, swallowing up enemies. And that's the main focus, is to kill Jeff whilst he's actually underground, because not every hero can hit their shots or land melee attacks and combos when Jeff's underground, right? Because he's obviously going to use that as his escape tool. And the other hero that this actually works with as well is Iron Fist. Iron Fist is pretty solid at taking out Jeff too, because he's a dive hero and Jeff's kind of more supporty now, that you can dive on top of him and you can use Iron Fist's ability. But the only issue with that is Iron Fist is not going to be all that popular for Season 3. But overall, there is a couple of counters to Jeff, and you do need to know when to use them. But for the most part, Jeff is one of those annoying heroes where countering his ultimate is super difficult, right? Because you don't know when the enemy player is going to pop the ultimate. You can hear the noise go off, you know it's about to come, but you don't know exactly when. So if you use any of your get out of jail free abilities whilst the noise is going and they don't actually pop the ultimate yet, then you've kind of ruined your chances of staying alive as well. So it's a bit of a timing thing, and I think that's why people hate Jeff so much. So there we have it. Those are the 5 most hated heroes inside Marvel Rivals, and some things you can do to actually counter them. If you enjoyed this video and you learned something new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and thank you very much for watching.